will turn it over to Ryan to get us started.
All right, good morning, Ryan Bergman, City Manager's Office. We have two topics today. The first will be digital signage, which is picking up from a 2023 council discussion on the topic that was referred a couple of months ago. And the second will be commercial trash pickup hours, which Karen will present some survey results from some of the commercial haulers. But since we're in a power hour situation, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Justin Rometta from Planning to get us started.
And right before Justin starts, I know there were some conversations about our noise ordinance that has been delayed due to some conversations and some legal things that have happened since our last meeting. So at a later date, council will make a decision on that part. So if anyone was here for that, I wanted to go ahead and make that announcement. So thank you.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I'm Justin Rometta with Planning and Development. I've got just a brief presentation for you all on this topic today of digital billboards. We'll talk about some of the background with the city's regulations, some of the potential impacts that those regulations attempt to mitigate, summarize those current UDO regulations, talk about some proposed regulations that were submitted by some industry representatives back in 2023, and then just briefly recap the discussions that have taken place to date and give you all some options and considerations for going forward. So as background, at a high level, the city's signage regulations can be categorized as two types: on-premise signage, where the message or advertisement is for the benefit of something that's on site, the same site as the sign, or off-premise signage, which is just a form of outdoor advertisement where the service or business is elsewhere from the location of the sign. And given that distinction, outdoor advertising is really treated as a separate and distinct land use and has a different set of regulations. And they are have remained largely in place since the 1980s. They have been around for a while. They are relatively stringent, but they have been challenged and upheld in court cases over time. So when talking about, what regulations are attempting to mitigate and to assist with, its aesthetics, its traffic safety, protecting property values and character of residential neighborhoods, limiting light pollution, really just overall intended to prevent kind of the overconcentration, making sure they're in the right place, and making sure they're not too tall, not too large, et cetera. So to go into a little bit more detail of our current regulations, billboards or off-premise signs are permitted. However, digital technology in those is not. Where off-premise signage is permitted, it is limited to the industrial mixed-use, heavy industrial campus and planned development zoning districts. There are separation and spacing requirements in terms of spacing between signage and then away from residential zoning districts. Size is limited to between 75 and 150 square feet, depending on the type of road that the sign is fronting on. They're limited to 30 feet in height. And again, changeable copy and digital technology is prohibited. There's a map of, general map of existing billboard locations throughout the city, approximately 75 to 80 on this map. Many of these are likely non-conforming in terms of they existed well before the regulations. They're either too tall, too large in terms of area, would not otherwise comply with existing.
Can you just remind, what year was the ordinance or passed to?
It was, I don't have the exact year, it was the early 1980s.
And since that time, we've had no new billboards?
We have. So new billboards are permitted. The reference to the existing ones was just to say many of these, if they came in for permit today,
would be
would not
non-conforming.
comply.
Yeah. Do you know what percentage of the 75, 80?
Don't have that number, no. So this table will show on the left, just again, the summary of the existing regulations we went over, and as compared to a draft ordinance that was circulated by some signage industry representatives, which would, as you can see, kind of expand, first of all, allow the digital technology, expand the available locations to commercial mixed use and downtown mixed use zoning districts, allow signs that would be intended for viewing from thoroughfares such as Hillsborough Street, Wilmington Street, Atlantic Avenue. It would maintain separation requirements and spacing, although they'd be slightly altered from existing. Size would be permitted up to 672 square feet, or the size of a sign that's being replaced, whichever is less. Height was proposed to be increased to 40 feet from 30, and again, to allow that changeable digital copy. So based on that draft ordinance, here's just a map of parcels that would be potentially eligible for digital billboards. I do want to be clear that this doesn't mean that there could be 2,000 and change digital signs, but any one of these individual parcels could be eligible based on the criteria in that ordinance. And just to recap the discussions that have taken place to date, again, in September 2023, Council authorized a text amendment for this topic and kind of clarified with a follow-up in March of 2024 with some additional policy guidance and considerations for the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission deliberated then in April and May of 2024 over the course of several meetings and ultimately recommended to make no change to existing regulations. In June, yes, sir.
What was the reason the Plan Commission
Yeah.
decided to take no action?
They provided a list of feedback, and I have that on an upcoming slide, considerations. And so in June, Council, again, received the Planning Commission's recommendation and concurred and voted unanimously to take no action at that time. So here's a list of feedback that the Planning Commission and Council concurred on at the time. These are all listed in your backup memo. I won't go through every one individually, but there were concerns generally about kind of the scope and scale, right? The expansion to more areas throughout the city, larger sizes, sensitive thoroughfares like Hillsborough Street, Atlantic Avenue, general traffic and safety concerns, not wanting to increase the total number of signs throughout the city. Wanting to continue to maintain and protect residential neighborhoods. That there hadn't really been engagement or discussion with non-signage industry folks, and both kind of expressed support for kind of maintaining existing height, area, spacing requirements, et cetera. So as far as options going forward, if the committee and ultimately the council chose to make some changes or take some action, you've got kind of a host of options. One would be to, again, maintain just no change and maintain the status quo. Digital billboards would continue to be prohibited. You could recommend some scenario where a text change keeps the existing regulatory framework in terms of location, spacing, height, et cetera, but does allow the digital technology, and as part of that require kind of an amortization or a removal of existing signage in exchange for the digital technology. You could certainly recommend authorization of the ordinance as it was submitted, or you could authorize staff, direct staff to draft an ordinance that would allow digital billboards and have some modifications to the draft ordinance that was submitted by the industry. So I hope that's helpful context. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah. Definitely great feedback. I think one of the things so the whole committee is aware of, we never really talked about the ordinance when it came before us. It came before us. There was some maybe side conversations and kind of an undercurrent. So the council decided just not to do anything. So I just want to provide that background so you're aware that there was really never a full council conversation about what may be some changes that we wanted to see are things to that text change. So I wanted to do that. I will open up for, how many people are here to speak or make comments on this item? I figure at least one. Okay, all right, go ahead.
Just have one question. Could you explain what the state allows? I'm not sure they're not going to mandate that we have to adopt an ordinance for digital signs, but what does the state say about municipalities allowing digital signs, so we know that this is not prohibited statewide, it's just some discomfort in Raleigh. So I just want to understand, what does the state legislation have to say about digital signs?
I'm not aware of any state. I know the state does permit and mandate that we accommodate billboards and off-premise signage to some extent, but I'm not aware of anything that mandates the allowance of digital technology.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the sharing the background, Councilor Branch, and I just wanted to share that there was a lot of email traffic to council at the time, really frustrated, not wanting this. And so when I was approached again this year, I made sure that I made that connection with CACs. And I really feel that it's something that, it could be beneficial, but people need to learn about it first, and they need to know what is going on. And they took that recommendation. I'm hopeful that they'll be able to share some information of what they've discussed with the community. But I did believe that it was their job to go out and pitch this to the community and explain to them directly why this was needed and why they were so passionate about it. So I'm looking forward to hearing from them. But I wanted to give you that background as well.
I have two comments. Part of my understanding, and I'll ask the chair here, was that the current signs that were constructed before the early 80s and since are my understanding is very concentrated in Councilor Branch's district, and part of this was to just, have maybe the opportunity to redistribute so that certain sections of town, because of historical context, were overburdened while others were not. So I just kind of asking to confirm or
that was definitely, when I was first approached about this, if you drive down 40, you will see the majority of digital billboards reside in the southern part of the city. Really between, I say, Lake Wheeler all the way up to really Capitol Boulevard. You see the bulk of signage of billboards. So this is, and you can see the map here where a lot of those reside. So that was one of the pull to reduce the number of signs in the area. And that was a conversation I think the industry was open to. That's why they looked at the distance and space. And there's probably some more modifications we could make there as far as separation of signage, but that was the big bulk, because right now, if you go between really South Saunders and Hammond Road, you probably have 10 billboards that are right there.
Yep, thank you. So I feel like that is worth a conversation. So and then the second thing that I do think is worth a conversation is this whole, issue of digital, which Councilor Silver just mentioned. You think about our entertainment districts, Lenovo Center, what is a modern city with technology and digitalization, even on, highways and that kind of thing, and how does Raleigh make sure we're current and on trend with the digitalization and where that might be helpful, but again, where we might decide we don't want to, expand to that option. But I would, appreciate if staff has any perspective on the whole issue of modernization and digital.
So, I will say, I didn't go into great detail, but several years ago, there is one exception to the digital prohibition, and that is for downtown civic uses. And so the city did make some of those changes, at least downtown, for sites like the convention center et cetera.
Pedestrian instead of street level.
Yeah.
So at this time, I think I have one individual looking to speak. Just so I'm checking, is there anybody else? So we'll give you about 3 minutes. And then we'll open up for any questions anyone may have.
Very good. Thank you very much, Council. My name is Christopher Hollis. I represent Lamar Outdoor Advertising in this issue, and thank you for your time and your diligence in working with this. And it feels like it has been a long time coming. We certainly have worked with staff. We have worked with the community as requested. I believe you have received a email from Mr. Rice from the CAC. We have met with him to answer your question directly first, Councilwoman Jones. With his support, I think he was clear in his email. We'll be meeting with them again tomorrow. Our interest is to expand the outdoor advertising signs to allow digital. We have talked about, with Councilman Branch's interest and push, to look at dispersing signs. We're not interested in growing the number of signs, as we've talked to you all about. Currently, there's somewhere between 70 and 85 signs, depending on the number. Lamar does not hold all of those signs. I just represent Lamar in this case. So this is still an industry-wide issue. So it is clear, allowing digital, and I have quasi-kidded to try to bring Raleigh up to the same technology time period as Roseville and now Henderson and Wendell, some of our other Wake County municipalities that allow digital. Also looking to add digital, we've seen the city has been successful in digital in high pedestrian, high traffic areas with the digital signs around Wilmington Street or around downtown and now the city of Raleigh has seen fit to put digital signs at the Martin Marietta Center that changes copies. So the city must believe that digital signs are safe and can move forward. I'm here to stand for questions. Really was not prepared to give much more of a extensive conversation than what I feel like we've had, and nothing there has changed. So it really is as simple as expanding digital to the city of Raleigh, not expanding the number of signs. We have talked extensively about spacing. We believe in spacing. The fear at first was we're going to turn this into Las Vegas or Myrtle Beach or somewhere else, and that's not plausible. Looking at a 1 mile radius between digital signs, and so it's not looking at a high concentration, and we believe that the best way to do the disbursement is through spacing across the city's jurisdiction. In the question concerning what does the state say about signage, I'm not sure that they speak directly to the allowing of digital signs. One of the things that I would say that the addition to the height that we have asked for or we suggested in some of the conversations with staff was only made because it brought up the city to state's standards of the 40 feet. So I'm here and stand for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I do just want to clarify, I did receive Mr. Rice's email. His support was in context of his own personal opinion that wasn't speaking for the CACs. So I know that he is in favor of bringing it to the CACs and having that discussion and bringing that report back. So I just want to make sure that that is clear what that email was for. Can you help me understand, were there any changes from the request from the last year that no action was taken on and what is being presented here? Were there differences, or is it the same case being brought?
So the contemplation of what is the request is still very much the same at its core. I have to say, and maybe it's my tenderness, that the Planning Commission didn't vote not to take up the issue on its merits. It was partly sensitive of timing because of some action of the General Assembly around billboards at its time, and wanting to put off any action until until what the General Assembly was going to do was determined. And so I contend that the action around the Planning Commission, the action around this council wasn't based on the issue of digital signage. It was based on some action of the General Assembly that we were not a part of.
Yeah, at the time, just to give some background, there was a bill in the General Assembly about trees and cutting trees for sign visibility that was going through. I forgot, like you said, do you know who was pushing that? Was it?
So it was the state association, and the DOT was allowing the expansion of their cutting as well. And I have to note that outdoor advertisers are not allowed to cut as far as the DOT is. So some of that changes was still shorter than what the DOT is allowed to do.
I'm trying to reconcile what the Plan Department said and how the Plan Commission voted on this item versus what you just stated about not expanding the number of billboards. And that's why I'm just trying to reconcile that. You said you would not expand the existing number of billboards, which is around 70 or 80. Is that what you stated?
Yes, sir. So our interest, it was never our interest to expand the number of billboards. We've used the number of 85 just because, as a guess,
right,
because my client doesn't hold all of those permits. But believe, working with the city, working with our own planners, that with the spacing requirements that has been proposed of the 1 mile around digital, and allowing that would allow the spacing.
My question is, there's a big gap between 85 and 2,000. I mean, that's my point. And that's why when I'm hearing it, I could understand when people hear worst case scenario up to 2,000, that can cause some concern. When I'm hearing 85 of not expanding existing, that's something very different of going now to changing copy and digital. So I'm just trying to reconcile 85 to 2,000 because that would change the conversation for me.
Yeah, I think can staff speak to that? Because I think the 2,000 came based on the zoning allow.
So what this map shows is, starting from a blank slate, potential locations. As Mr. Hollis said, his ordinance does maintain a spacing requirement. So, for example, 1 mile between digital signage.
So does this take into account that 1 mile? Because it seems like it does not.
It does not, because until one sign gets put up, right, we can't tell what other parcels would be eligible. So this is just starting from a blank slate. If the ordinance were in effect today, any one of these parcels would be eligible, but that would affect downstream the ability of other parcels.
Could we theoretically, as an illustration, drop a pin and put a 1 mile radius along Creedmoor, Glenwood, 440, just to get a sense that if pins were spaced, because we know the distance, I'm just trying to, because this one, when you say 2,000, it's like, oh, that's the worst case, but it's not possible.
Right.
And so I want a more realistic number. So as we have this conversation, putting the digital sign for a second, just location, I'm just trying to find out a real worst case scenario, not the ultimate saying that all these parcels are eligible. They are, but with the one space radius, it is not. So I just want a better number of potentially eligible number versus eligible parcels, because I think it's not a clear picture for me.
And I just wanted to build on that to say, what if we said, okay, we've got this concentration in District C. What if you distributed these across the districts evenly, just as an example, to get to Councilor Silver's? What would that look like with the cap of 85 still standing? Yeah.
And I guess my other question I will ask before you comment on that, we could also put a cap on the number of digital signs, correct?
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead. You have a.
And
one comment.
Council, as to the number of digital signs, that was where we started at the beginning, was not increasing the total number of signs, but because of the spacing, that because of what we believe would be reasonable and right for the city, we're talking about 10 to 12 digital signs within your jurisdiction. And again, that's because of spacing, that's because of.
You mean within the whole city?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Absolutely. We're talking about 10 to 12 digital signs because of spacing, because of real land availability. Just because every parcel is painted green or purple here doesn't mean that parcel is available. So that because the research that my client has taken on, 10 to 12 digital signs is the number that would be right or reasonable in that space, with the total number of signs, not total number of digital, total number of signs not exceeding what we've estimated as now at 85. Does that make sense? That math makes sense?
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Councilor Bridge, if you can remind me, when we talked about this last, I think because of what we just said, there was this theory that we might actually decrease some signs because in order to put one, we'd have to take one away due to the spacing. But I don't remember that I fully understand but I'm remembering that. If you could.
Yeah, that was definitely part of the conversation. I guess what we have to figure out now, and that's why I'm glad we're having this conversation, what does that look like? Right. How could that be implemented? Because if we say, 85 signs total, but 10 or 12 can be digital. Honestly, if I own signs and I have 3 regular signs and I have a digital sign that I'm putting up, I'm probably going to take mine down, but that's me. Yeah. So the question is, how do we ensure that we don't just add another digital sign in the middle of a cluster of other signs?
And I think just to highlight, as we're just talking about it, what the concerns from the community were, and I know that Councilor Patton shared the same, was the fear of it being digital and driving by and getting data from people's phones. That was a concern. There was just a concern of light pollution, of what does that do to the neighborhoods. So you have a lot of neighbors who have questions, and I really appreciate the work that you guys are going to be doing with directly with our constituents to answer those questions, because I don't know what the answers are. I do appreciate you sending me I'm not sure if you sent it to everyone on council. If not, I would encourage you to. And that was all of your research, so that we have better words to explain as we're asked these same questions. So thank you for your participation in that.
Yeah, and I'm aware, because I've actually saw this happen on the road. Sites they can dim them and everything. So I've seen it happen driving down. I'm like, that sign just got dimmer. So I think that technology is there, but these are the conversations that I think we really got to have, and then legal can come in on where we can limit signs or enforce certain things within our jurisdiction. So I think what we need, because I want to be very cognizant of time, because we have one more item, the direction of council, where the way I feel it is, I hate to say it, is we need to kind of start back over with staff as far as, do we want to authorize this text change? Or let me ask that question, staff. Can we send back, council decided no action. That means we didn't vote it up and we didn't vote it down. So can we send this back to planning as it is, or do we need to start over?
My sense is that you would need to reauthorize a text change, but I'll defer to city attorney if she has a different opinion.
Okay, so we would have to reauthorize the text change if we wanted to really figure this out and move it forward.
I would support that. From me personally, the fact that the city uses digital technology, I firmly believe in equity. And if the city is saying this is acceptable on certain parcels, we have to find a way of allowing it in other places, but it has to be restricted. So I'm certainly open. There was one version at the bottom that added some variations. I don't think we can work that out at the table, but I certainly encourage for this to go back. I'm encouraged by the limitation, having a worst case scenario that is more realistic, and to make sure that public concerns through the process are addressed, but also educated, because of course people are going to fear the worst. This is not prohibited by the state, and so I think this is something we should explore. From a predictability point of view, the public now knows this is the maximum number that they can expect versus having over 2,000, and I can see that being a concern. And then clarify the tree cutting as well, because I think that probably was a lot of drama when that statute was proposed. We just need to clear and educate the public so that we're going forward together.
And I see this list of options, and one of them wasn't to reauthorize the text change. But based on our conversation that you're hearing, which option is option 4 the one that falls back at more in line?
Yes, Councilmember Branch, Pat Young, Planning and Development. Yeah, so last time, as you recall, you all authorized a text change, asked the Planning Commission to consider options. There are at least a half a dozen, you see 5 of them listed there at the end of item 4, areas of consideration that we would really appreciate and value your input on before taking this back for referral. We certainly can do, as we did last time, take it to Planning Commission. Planning Commission really struggled without having more guidance from council on which of those areas they wanted to go, and staff certainly does too, because we don't, again, this is really at council's discretion. This isn't something that we would be encouraging or promoting without your direction. So any additional guidance you can give us on which of these 4, and then if you choose option 4 on those 5 criteria, would be appreciated and valuable, whether that's here in committee or at the full council.
Okay. Well, one of the blessings we have of today's meeting is, since Planning Commission is meeting after us, some of them are in here right now, and they can hear some of the conversations. So I think that's helpful as well.
Great.
If it's helpful as a start, I find you said there were half a dozen. I see 5.
Yeah.
I would support moving forward with number 4 as a conversation. It addresses the bulk, size, and height. It addresses location expansion, the separation, and I'm assuming that's the mile that's being proposed. You had mentioned the brightness that can be either increased or decreased. And then we didn't really talk about the removal of existing signs. We did kind of on the margin. So unless I'm hearing anything else, number 4 seems to be, if staff wants guidance, the one I'm most comfortable with, but I certainly want to hear from my colleagues.
I think I would be comfortable with number 4. I would ask that, because the digital aspect of it was such a big thing last time, if we could get some guidance from our IT on the questions that we received on, is it possible for drivers who drive by for their data to be extracted from the digital signs? I think that's going to answer some questions both within council and the community. So if we can get something from them, that would be appreciated.
Well, and just, I mean, I would agree on 4, and if you're capping at 85, and clearly you want to not have it all concentrated, you're definitely going to require removal of signage. And then, is a digital a 1-for-1, or is that sort of a sort of equivalent of more? So I think those are the kind of questions, including the privacy issues.
Okay. So is there a motion for a recommendation back to council?
I move that the council authorizes staff to pursue option 4. Let's leave it at that. Make
Okay.
it simple.
Okay. So it's been moved and properly second to recommend option 4 back to full council for a conversation to then give direction to staff. Is that?
That is the motion.
All right. Any unreadiness? All in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed have the same right. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
All right. So next we have, yard noise from dumpsters, waste. Pass this over to our city attorney.
Good morning. Karen McDonald, City Attorney's Office. This is an item that came before the council during your May meeting, And during that meeting, Councilmember Silver requested that we reach out to operators to better understand their practices. And I will take a moment of personal privilege to say that Councilmember Branch, I have several new friends in the audience here about this topic. But so we created, and you should have received that in your backup, we created a feedback form. It was intended, it was a 10-question form. It was intended to get feedback and to be very quick for operators to complete. I want to thank the 5 operators that responded. They took more than we estimated. It would take them about 5 to 7 minutes, and they clearly, based on their responses that you received, took longer than that. So we had 5 respondents, GFL Environmental, who indicated they had over 23, go back one, thank you, Luke, who indicated they had over 23,000 customers. Republic Services indicated they had about 1,200 customers. Waste Management had 1,300. Meridian and Liberty Waste Solutions all indicated they had about 700 customers. We asked them about the accounts that they serviced before 6 a.m. You will see that most of them indicated that they serviced those accounts between 26 and 50% of their accounts before 6 a.m., with Republic indicating they serviced over 50% of their accounts before 6 a.m. Then we asked them what types of, if there were specific requests for the services to be collected before 6 a.m. And this pie chart indicates the types of requests that they receive, with retail/stores and restaurants being the most that requested before a 6 a.m. Service time. Then we asked them if we were to do a 6 a.m. Restriction, what types of operational challenges would that create for them? They all indicated, and the largest response related to the extra resources that they would need in order to service these accounts if they had to wait till 6 a.m. And then also there were concerns about traffic congestion, that they would be on the road during heavy congestion time. Certainly yesterday, today, they'd be on the road during school times. But then also, there were a number of other logistical issues that were mentioned. They talked about small parking lots, and many of the businesses, because of the size of the parking lots, need to utilize space in and around those dumpsters for parking. They talked about, which I think we've probably all seen before, the safety hazards that go along with people who are engrossed on their phones or have earbuds in and they're not paying attention. These trucks, many of them are front loaders, so that means that once they drive in, they have to back out, and people just not paying attention. And then finally, they talked about the service reliability. Many of our, we don't control the landfill that is operated by the county, but some of those sites close as early as 3 o'clock, which means they have to be in line at 2:45. I think there's at least one site that closes at 3, the others close at 4. So again, that compresses the time that they would have to pick up these dumpsters and get them to the landfill to be dumped. Otherwise, they have to go back to the facility with the trucks full of waste, and then there are issues related to that. And then, of course, as we know, in North Carolina, we have hot summers, and so that becomes an issue as well. dealing with heat exposure for the operators. Moving on, we asked about the economic impact, that if they had to wait till 6 a.m. to start collections, and all of them indicated there would be an increased cost because they would have to acquire additional trucks and/or workers to be able to service their accounts. Waste Management estimated that it would be $300,000 to $400,000. Meridian Waste estimated approximately $900,000. But also, not just the economic impact, but the safety impact. Several of them talked about just the safety impact that creates, the potential for catastrophic injury or death, which also will increase their insurance premiums as a result. Finally, we asked about noise reduction strategies, and several of them indicated that they already have some noise reduction strategies in place. They talked about white noise alarms, which have a lower decibel alarm that increases when other noise is detected, using quiet horns versus the traditional air horns during early mornings. Republic indicated that they are actually deploying electric trucks, and that the electric trucks, of course, eliminates that diesel noise, has a quieter hydraulic system, and an overall operational noise reduction level. And then many of them indicated they're using plastic containers instead of the metal containers, and they're also using rubber bumpers on the fork arms. Then finally, and overall, the overall consensus was there was strong opposition to a 6 a.m. Time because of the increased risks that go along with having to start that late. They all indicated that early morning pickups are essential, and then finally, they all indicated an interest and a willingness to try to work with the council to provide this service, but also balance the need or issues that relate to the noise that it creates early in the morning. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Right. So one question I have is there was an issue that was brought up around Rhett's Hospital with some of the residents in that area. Were you able to get a chance to talk to them?
I called the number that you left several times without a response, but I have some new friends, as I said. We recently met, and I'm sure that they're going to figure out who that among themselves, who services that area, and address that issue.
Okay, because I think the biggest issue was a lot of the service when it comes close to residential.
Yes.
And I think that's the issue we were really trying to really address. You know, if you go and pick up trash at Crabtree Valley Mall, I don't think anyone really cares how much noise you make because it's all contained. But when you go pick up trash, you know, right next to, you know, residents in the trucks, I think that's really the big issue that I understand was really brought forward to us. Who's here that is willing or wanting to speak to this issue? Okay, I have three. I'm going to go ahead and let you all come up now before we ask questions, so we can address all of that, because I'm trying to be respectful so the Planning Commission can start at 10.
And Councilmember Branch, I did also indicate to the individuals that I spoke to that given this issue, that I expect that there would be, and in the true Raleigh spirit, additional opportunities to have discussion and hear from operators. But
Perfect.
Did share with them that there was a hard stop today.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good morning, Mayor, City Council members. My name's Ann White, and I live in Briar Creek, subdivision to the west of the airport. I've come here to talk about this situation of the commercial dumpster pickup that was introduced at the May meeting. My fellow residents were thrilled that this issue has made its way to your committee, and consideration is being made to possibly create a new rule concerning this persistent nuisance. Living in Briar Creek, we're no strangers to noise. In fact, we're probably the most tolerant of communities about noise, being close to the airport. So when we complain about noise, it is significant. The emptying of dumpsters at 4 in the morning sounds like an explosion. That is no exaggeration. Like Cindy Holmes and her Bentley Ridge community, we have experienced the same issue as businesses were built along Briar Creek Parkway since 2018. We've tried some collaborative strategies by engaging the businesses and the waste management vendors. I'm very familiar with those vendors, and also with the Raleigh Police. We've even hired a private investigator to officially document which businesses and vendors were the worst offenders, and I will say that Republic was the worst offender. They do not have plastic dumpsters. They are metal. The Raleigh Police Liaison Officers for the West Side District of our community, Sergeants Roberts, Dufresne, Alexander, and Henshaw, have been wonderful in their communication and responsiveness by going and actually talking to the businesses and the waste management vendors to convince them to change their trash pickup times. But nothing has worked in 7 years. We've called 911 in the middle of the night many times, as instructed by our liaison officer, even though we felt really uncomfortable with that, because we always appreciated that more serious needs required the police to prioritize where they needed to be. Plus, by the time that the police arrived, they would, the waste management truck would be long gone. Again, I want to emphasize that the noise absolutely violates the current noise ordinance. It sounds like a bomb is exploding in one's backyard, and for each dumpster being emptied, the explosion occurs twice. One, as the dumpster is tipped back to be emptied into the truck, and then again when the dumpster is placed back on the ground. It has nothing to do with their diesel noise or the horns or anything like that. It's about the dumpster noise itself. The strip mall behind our townhomes has 5 dumpsters, so that is 10 explosions at least 3 nights a week. The fact that other cities have an ordinance for this very issue should be proof enough that Raleigh needs one also. And I saw from your attachments to the June meeting that didn't occur that there is a list of cities and what they have as their approach. And we really hope that you would parallel that with Charlotte and with Cary.
So my question for you is, what businesses, do you know the businesses that are having their dumpsters picked up? Do you have that list?
Yes, absolutely. I have it all, and I've shared that with the police, and they have it.
Can you send that to us?
Yes.
At council?
Yes, if you give me an email of where I should send it.
I've got you. I'm your city council representative, so I'll make sure to reach out to you and I'll get it to everyone. Thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I saw 2 other hands.
Rufus Edmiston.
Yeah, I remember you well. How are you doing, sir?
Good morning. My name is Rufus Edmiston, Mayor, City Council members. I don't like noise either, and I appreciate what you said. I represent Meridian Waste. We have a C&D site down at Shotwell, and many of you have visited it, and I call it an environmental park. First of all, sometimes good intentions turn out to be unintended consequences. And I know the intentions are good about wanting to abate noise. I live on Lake Wheeler Road, and down the road from me is a nursing home. All times of night and day, ambulances, fire trucks, something that you just have to, for the greater good, you say, yes, you have to put up with it. And I believe that I have never seen a survey that is any better put together than what you sent out. In all of my years, of 28 years in public service, I want to congratulate the staff on that, because it gave my clients and all the other folks here an opportunity to really wash out our concerns And the big concern is that we would never want, we don't want to have to do that. We would rather not have to do that if we didn't have to. But what's the alternative? The grocery boy junior beside me, that one dumpster there takes up about 20 parking spaces altogether, and they can't possibly do it during the day. Nobody could get through there. That's just a simple fact of life. And I would hope that you would understand that the trash business is here to stay. Thank God we have some way to properly handle it, and I congratulate you on taking up the question. But if we could do anything better, we would do it. But I just don't know how, and you're going to hear from real experts here. I know that I moved from politics to trash, but yeah, I'm not the expert on this matter. And I hope that you will use some good common sense that if we could do something about it, we would. So thank you very much for listening to us. And again, thanks for that wonderful, very, very detailed questionnaire. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name's Tim Webb. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for Meridian Waste. And I too would like to hats off on the presentation and the survey. I can't speak for my competition, but I believe that the survey did. The bottom line is we do it because it's safer. And that's what it really comes down to. I came into town this morning early for a purpose, after 6 o'clock. And I was with the bus traffic, and I came around the corner, and traffic was lined up and everybody was stopped, and I had to stop, and then I started checking parking lots, and I started looking at cans and seeing what was blocked. Got to realize we do everything we can, all the things that were talked in the survey, and our drivers do, to try not to bang the cans and make the noise. I hear you and I appreciate it, but it's tough. And we have to get in and get out. All the large metropolitan areas we work in, we get in and we get out. And our goal is to be on the way out when everybody else is on the way in. You've got to realize that these trucks have to back up on an average of 100 to 120 times a morning. That's 120 times or opportunities to have a problem. And that's the biggest reason. Not to mention the block containers where either delivery trucks or cars are in the way where we can't service. So now you have a restaurant in the downtown area that has overflowing trash, and it's not because we didn't try. We just couldn't get in. Talked about the heat and the exposure. These cans sit. Look, I do garbage for a living. I was a firefighter for a living. I retired and went in the garbage business. Garbage, unfortunately, if you don't take it out when your wife tells you to, it stinks in the kitchen. And when you put it in the can, when it's hot, it's going to stink a little bit. Our job is to pick it up and get rid of it environmentally friendly. But we appreciate you taking up the topic. We appreciate the opportunity to survey, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this morning. But I certainly hope that we stay as we are.
Okay. Thank you. So again, we are at the top of the hour. I'm going to give council members 30 seconds to this. What we're going to do is continue this topic at our next meeting so that we can give it the attention that it needs, but also be respectful to Planning Commission so they can go ahead and start their meeting this morning as well. So if there's any comments any council members want to make today. Yep. We'll start and come down this way.
30 seconds. I concur with you at the top. Councilmember Ranch, you had talked about in proximity to residential areas. There were some options offered to mitigate some of the noise. I'd be very interested in specific locations where it's generating, whether it's plastic containers or rubber bumpers, but it needs to be triggered in proximity to residential areas so that it's not a broad brush affecting the entire industry, that we're a lot more surgical on where the problem is. So that's where I am, but I do agree. The time works, safety is a concern, and it's a need to remove waste.
I just want to thank everyone for being here. This is about understanding, and it's about, as residents and as the business, understanding what the concerns are and how do we come to a solution. So I appreciate both of you guys for being here and being open to what that solution might be. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm really glad that we're talking about it so that we can educate everyone around. So thank you.
Yep. no, I also agree. Important conversation. Quality of life is important. I said New York City just started a quality of life thing to address things like noise. We know we're addressing noise more broadly, so this is a real topic. I would like to also have the city, I appreciate the survey, present on these other ordinances so we can have a discussion about what other cities are doing and best practices. And then also, obviously, I think we will try to, I love this, it's not one size fits all. You know, there are certainly areas that are much more sensitive than others, and can we hone in on those and see, what we can do?
So Mayor, I apologize, just to clarify. So the information we presented in May, you would like for us to bring that information back?
Yeah, I think it would be helpful to just revisit, right? Because we didn't even have a chance to talk about it in June at the committee level, so.
Okay, we
Yeah.
didn't meet in June now, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we can bring that information back. Also, I would ask. We have current rules on the books now. If we could just have someone follow up with the resident with their issue and with the trash over in Briar Creek and the noise, and try to address that with our current rules that we have in place. And I know Councilor Jones will also follow up.
Well, it's
since
also 5 Points, Bentley Ridge,
Yeah,
Briar
so
Creek.
anywhere where we have current issues, just make sure those vendors are compliant to our current rules as around noise, and then we will continue to follow up. We will bring this topic back at the end of September, at our September meeting, Ryan, and we'll kind of go from there. These were the only 2 items we had on today's agenda. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for adjusting to our time, even for today. Planning Commission, God bless you. Have a great day, and we are adjourned here.